by for the Brewery Underground Podcast.
In Nashville's harbor wise, craft and brews will meet the skies. Stephen Scott, they lead the way. Brewery Underground, night and day. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite. Raise your glass, let's ignite. In this city, we unite.
Hey, welcome back. Stephen Scott. We are on the Brewery Underground Podcast, and we're from Nashville, Tennessee today. Scott, we certainly talk about craft beer quite often on this podcast. Today, we are going to be going down the road of talking about some good barbecue and also something that's really impactful to a lot of people in the Nashville area. We have on Carey Bringle, who is the owner of Peg Leg Porker. He is Bringle Smoking Oasis, Peg Leg Porker and Spirits, and a lot of other things as well. Carey, I know you do so many different things. You have a lot of business ventures. Is there anything that I missed there that you also want to throw in of like, hey, I also do all these other things?
I've got my hands in a lot of pots, so so few things.
Yeah, you do. When do you ever sleep?
I try to sleep. I can't sleep a lot of times. We've also got Pig Star in the airport, and we're partners with Levon and Kim Wallace in Fat Belly Pretzel and Deli over in East Nashville.
Okay. I heard you talk about Fat Belly, and I wasn't sure what that was. I did look them up today, and I saw the pretzel place, so that's what that is.
Well, it's probably the best sandwich place in town.
Oh,
They
nice.
make fresh Dutch crunch bread every day for sandwiches.
Oh, shit. Okay. All right. Hadn't heard it. You taught me something new.
Oh, yeah.
Well, I'll tell you what's really funny is I checked the temperature about 5 minutes before I came on here, and it was 98 degrees outside at the time we're recording this. Heat index about 107, but is it ever too hot to make barbecue?
Well, we have to make barbecue every day because people want to eat it. But yeah, believe me, I've had some very hot days cooking barbecue.
Yeah, exactly.
I bet some of those cold days aren't so bad when you're near the smoker, right?
It just depends on what type of smoker you use.
That's true.
They can affect a cooker a lot.
Yeah, I'm sure this time of the year can be a little bit challenging, right?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, we first want to congratulate you on your induction into the Barbecue Hall of Fame, the class of 2026 by the American Royal World Series of Barbecue. You've had a lot of accolades. Hopefully, we'll talk a little bit about them on this episode. But man, can you talk right off the bat about this one, because it really has to be quite an honor for you.
Yeah, I mean it's quite an honor. It's something that I was very excited to hear, and they got a good class going in this year with Mark Lambert and Ben Lang and Malcolm Reed, and then three more that are posthumous that have passed away that are going in as well that were legends. And so it was important to me, and it's a great honor. They choose that based on not just accomplishments, but also your contribution back to the barbecue community and how much you kind of give back and how much you educate and how much you mentor. And so I think that those all probably played a big role in that choice.
Well, congratulations on that.
Thank you.
I want to throw some words at you guys. And Steve, tell me what they all have in common. Coffee shops, tap rooms, food trucks, breweries, restaurants. There's a kind of theme there, don't you think?
A little bit of theme of some local businesses in the Nashville area, right?
Small business, right?
Yeah.
And we all support and need to support and rely on small businesses. And it's one of the main reasons we wanted to carry on today is kind of talk about that stuff. With property taxes going through the roof, Carey can speak to that, in Nashville in the last several years. Even though we're brewery guys and beer guys, all those things affect us. We want our breweries to be there. We want our barbecue places to be there. We want our coffee shops to be there. And Nashville's property taxes are going through the roof, and it's important. It's important to all of us, and that's one of the main reasons we wanted to carry on today.
Yeah, and it's also important to say that we're patrons. We love Peg Leg Porker. Been there many times, and certainly Peg Leg Porker opened in 2013. It's an institution in the Nashville area, and the institution is really kind of a little under fire a little bit. Can you talk about that, Carey, with the property taxes that have really impacted you and impacted your brethren in the Nashville area?
Yeah, absolutely. I've talked about this for 5 or 6 years. When Cooper was in office, I talked about it and I brought up the issue and I raised a big stink and wrote a big letter. And I think people were shocked because they didn't understand. They knew their property taxes might have gone up a couple of $100, but they didn't understand what we were facing in the downtown area, with property tax. And some of the misconception is, oh, the city put in all this infrastructure and the city did this and the city did that. Cities don't do anything unless private business owners and leaders take the reins and develop. And when they say they're going to develop, then that's when cities go, okay, now we need to add some infrastructure or something. When I went into the Gulch, a lot of people thought I was crazy. It was a blighted area. It didn't have much of anything back there. It was sketchy. And, a lot of people thought I was crazy. And, but we helped build that neighborhood and we pumped millions into it. And so did Market Street with, Jay Turner and Joe Barker. And, so did some other people that took chances in that area and built out infrastructure and built out hotels and restaurants. And, and we created jobs and we created revenue for the city. We created sales tax for the city. We created a liquor tax for the city. And, all of those add up. But then when they hit you with the property taxes, that's the one that really hurts. And mine went from $9,900 up to about $77,000 now. And, we added on, and that having a bigger building affected it. But the thing about it is, when you're a business like us that's there to stay for the long term, and you own your property, you're not a transient. You're not looking to go. You're not filling it with a hotel where you can spread the taxes all over everything. It hurts. It hits you because it comes right out of your pocket. And the fact that Nashville taxes on future property prospected value is a crime. It's just like paying estimated taxes on proceeds of stock options. It's a speculation. So the markets go up and they go down, and what they're taxing me on is where they think that the market is going to be, or where they think that it is right now, and those can be wildly different from what the actuality is. And, for me, the only one, I don't like property tax at all. I think it's theft. You own
Yeah.
property, I don't think they ought to be taxing you on it. But two, if you're going to tax property, then you ought to tax it on the last sale value. And, and then it stays like that. And it may get a little bump, increase, whatever, but you need to cap the increase, and it needs to be based on what you paid for the property. Because what you paid for the property is what you felt like it was worth for the use that you were buying it for. And, if somebody comes down on Broadway and buys a place for $60 million, then when they do, they would know what they're getting into with those taxes. But when you take somebody like Layla, who paid, $10,000, $5,000, $10,000 for her place 33 years ago and wrote it out on Broadway when nobody else wanted to be down there, and she helped build the thing, and she kept her prices steady and kept it affordable, and you take somebody like that and you start taxing them. He was getting taxed, I think, $120,000, and now they've taken it up to $500,000 because they say, well, now your business, your building is worth $25, $30 million. Well, guess what? She hadn't left in 33 years. Why would she leave now? She didn't pay that for it. She's never going to realize that money if the city comes along and snatches it out from under her on a yearly basis. And then the city's taking all your profits. And, when I wrote my first letter, I had a lot of people say, oh, he's just a greedy business owner, blah, blah, blah. And the city does this and that for him. The city doesn't do a whole lot for us. We do for ourselves. And even in the downtown area, what people don't realize is we pay extra tax. So we pay a tax on top of our tax rate. And that money goes into the coffers for downtown for us to help maintain the infrastructure and the appearances and the cleanliness and the safety. And so people say, well, I had some writer say last time I wrote the letter, well, Carey gets something that the other people in the city don't get. They get to direct their tax dollars into their neighborhood. That's not an accurate statement. We get to direct the extra tax that we volunteered to pay for the neighborhood. It's just like a neighborhood association fee.
I think you make some really good points. I moved here in the late 90s, and I used to work down off of like the Music Row area. And I was down that area not long ago to see the area I used to work. It's just dramatically changed. You
Oh,
don't
yeah.
recognize it anymore. And then you talk about the Gulch wasn't what the Gulch is now, but that really concerns me too, because you see like businesses that are locally owned like yours being driven out, and there's
Yeah.
just really no reason for it other than the bottom line. You hate to see it.
Well, it's not, they want to call it the bottom line.
Yeah.
Problem is they got no bottom line. They got no budget that's reasonable. They've taken things that were supposed to be temporary measures during COVID and they've made them permanent just because they wanted to, because they didn't want to get rid of a service that they brought on that was needed during a time of disaster, with COVID. And so, the bad thing is if they were doing more for us, if they were, better to us, if they wanted to really help small business, they wouldn't be doing this. They would actually balance the budget. And, Tennessee as a state is the most fiscally conservative state in the country. We have the lowest debt per capita of any other state in the country, even Florida. And Florida just had record numbers with Ron DeSantis' budget that he just released. And, one of the things that they've done to us downtown is now they've weaponized parking. You used to be able to park on the street for free after 5 or 6. And on the weekends, now it's parking is paid for 24/7. A ticket went from $24 on the street to now it's $90 on the street. And they tripled the number of enforcement officers. And so they've weaponized our own city streets against us. And then what a lot of people don't know about Nashville that they did with NDOT is they created zones downtown. And this may be the first you're hearing about this, but I've been talking about it for the last few months. And so they've got a zone overlay for, say, where I am, and then they've got another zone overlay for down in the Broadway area. And you're restricted on how long you can park in that zone. And so even if you want to pay for parking and pay what they're charging for parking, once you hit your limit for the zone, which may be 3 hours, it may be 4 hours, they lock you out of the meters, and then you can't even park.
Yeah.
And so, and say you come to lunch for Peg Leg, you have an hour and a half long business meeting or a 2 hour long business meeting. You want to come back at night and go to Rudy's Jazz Room, and you want to go watch a show that's going to be 4 hours. Well, those last 2 hours, you're locked out of the zone, and you got to go move your car, and you don't have anywhere to put it because they've weaponized every street and every inch of every street. They don't even have lines on the street anymore. They just say, scan your thing here and you better pay.
A couple of weeks ago, you make a good point. A couple of weeks ago, Scott and I had gone to the 3rd year anniversary of Marble Fox, which is right around the corner.
Mm-hmm.
And I parked out on the street out there, and I actually got out of my car and I said, I think this is pay to park.
Yeah.
And I paid for 3 hours, and I realized I had like 5 minutes left of my 3 hours. So I got out of there, and I'm driving away, and I get this text message, and it basically said, you're now in violation. You have to move your car. And I was like, well, I've already moved my car. But it's stuff like that it just, I think, as you said, it really gives a bad impression to the consumer and to the business owner like yourself.
Well, and what that also triggered was when they did that, when our city chose to weaponize parking, then they took all the competition off the table for paid parking. And so now the paid parking has jumped through the roof because they've essentially given all the paid parking companies carte blanche to charge whatever they want because there is no street parking, you know?
Yeah, and
So,
where Steve is talking about, I think, and the reason he questioned was it pay to park, 'cause I think they have like one sign for like 4 or 5
yeah.
spots, right? It's way up there, so you don't even really know when
And
it
if
used
you
to be
miss
free
it,
park.
then guess what? $90 ticket.
Yep.
Yeah.
I was sitting at Highwire when they were still there, again, right around the corner from where you are when they were there. And right in front used to be free parking. And even when they were open, that changed. And could sit there and I could watch that meter person or whoever come through there, that ticket guy, and literally just get them one after another, just boom, 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 boom. Because they
And
still
where's
thought that was free
Highwire
parking.
now? They're gone.
Right.
Yeah.
Gone. Yep. Yep.
I mean, it's unbelievable. And it's just they're the bad thing is when you do this with a city and you start to treat your own citizens this way and your own small business owners this way, you run out the people that built the city that the big boys wanted to come to in the first place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a good point, and we've seen the videos, and I'm sure that you're part of a coalition of folks that are concerned. Like I know the owner of Acme Feed and Seed, and the property taxes they're paying. They try to do some creative things of like, here, can you buy one more beer to help pay for our property taxes? And I guess some of the companies and some of the businesses are having to try to get creative just to stay afloat or to try to pay what they need to in property taxes.
We're in a hard enough business anyway. We got hit harder than anybody during COVID. And it's and then afterwards the cost of all of our products went through the roof. Not just food, but everything. Paper goods, plastic, everything. And then when you have your city give you a double whammy on top of it, it just it's putting a lot of people out of business.
It is.
It's just as simple as that. It's putting a lot of people out of business.
And I think you mentioned this in an interview. So Acme, like if they happen to go away, and we hope they don't, but if they happen to go away, somebody will come in there. Somebody will, whether they
Yeah.
buy the building or somebody else. Because again, like you said, somebody's always wanting to come to town. Hey, we'll come to Nashville. We'll do it. We'll run somebody out, and we'll bring some big corporation or something in here that some national
Yeah.
chain or something.
But there won't be a local like Tom, and they won't curate it quite like Tom does. And listen, Tom and I are friends, and I'm friends with his family. We are on typically different sides of the political spectrum, and but we can agree on this issue. This is just not sustainable in any way, shape, or form for the city of Nashville. And it's not a it's not a it's not a lack of money problem. It's a budgeting problem. It is an
Look,
overspending problem.
I often say, because every time you go downtown or near it, you're kind of like, God, these people, and it's like they're getting charged out the ass for, hotel room taxes and these and that. And it's like, wouldn't that be enough? Wouldn't that be enough to compensate for all the other stuff in Nashville to cover infrastructure and roads, which are shit? And
The roads are terrible. We used to pride ourselves that TDOT had the best roads in the country.
Yeah.
shit.
And it ain't that way anymore. Not in Nashville anyway.
No.
No.
And it just and our hotel prices are now higher than anywhere else in the country. Oh, I can go stay in New York City for half the price of what it costs to stay in Nashville.
Yep. Like those taxes should, okay, if you want to keep coming here and pay those as a tourist, okay, that's one thing. Hell, build a new stadium if you want to. But but like back to the parking thing, if we're natives, or not even natives, but if you live here, you have a zip code in a certain place, you should have some kind of, however you do it, discount on the parking if it's a meter, something where it's like, I'm not paying $90 to park. I should pay 20 or 25. I stayed at the Music City Center the other day and parked, and it's $25. I thought it was fair for what I was doing. I was in and out and was out, but I
Yeah.
just feel like as locals or as people that live here, we should have some kind of discount on the parking.
Well, they shouldn't weaponize our parking against us. You know, there are streets. We paid
Yeah.
for them.
Yeah.
True.
Hey,
We were in
All
Chattanooga.
the taxpayers. We paid for the streets. We
Yeah.
didn't, you know.
That's right. We got to charge on top of that. Real quick, we were in Chattanooga on Saturday, and we street parked at a place, and it was $2.85, and that was, and we added another half an hour or something. It was 85 more cents, and that was with a 35-cent processing fee. It was like, I'll do that all day.
And they probably have a more balanced budget than Nashville, I guarantee.
No doubt.
Well, I mentioned at the top of the podcast that you guys are an institution, and you really are. For people that, even though this podcast, we're based out of Nashville, we get people that tune in. There's also people from other parts of the country, and we've steered people when they're coming into town, go to Peg Leg Porker because it's near downtown. And can you talk about that? Because you get a lot of tourists that come in, and I'm sure you get a lot of influx of people from other parts of the country that want to come into your family-owned business.
We do. We're lucky that we've got a national and international reputation, and that's driven in a lot of really cool and interesting people from all over the world. You know, and we love that. We want to feed people. I mean, that's what we're there to do, and we're 100% locally owned and operated. We don't have any backers, no business partners. It's me and my family, and you know, we've worked hard to make people feel at home and to put out a great product. And it's flattering when people take their time and come and eat with you, and want to make the time to seek you out. And so we've been very fortunate with that. There's a lot of great barbecue in this town, and most of us are friends. And you know, so it's you know, but now we're not competing against just barbecue people. We're just competing for dining dollars because
Yeah.
there's so many big name groups that have, you know, big, huge budgets that are coming in from New York, from LA, from Chicago. And they're not opening up one, they're opening up 3 and 4 restaurants at a time. And then if those are successful, they're opening up another 3. And it's tough to compete for those, just for the dining dollars.
It is, Carey. Your Peg Leg is one of those places that tourists come to, as Steve just mentioned, and locals go to as well. And we are one of them. And it's nothing to be there and sitting at your place and eating, and seeing a group of people walk up with their suitcases, where either they just got off the plane
Yeah.
and they're headed downtown, or they're getting ready to leave. Like, you can tell, but it's a really good mix of that. And we recognize it, and we go as locals, which I think in a lot of places, you know, we wouldn't go downtown for anything if we didn't have to.
It's, you know, it's tougher. We lease a lot across the street from us, so now we have parking available for our customers. But again, it cost us a fortune to lease that lot. What that lot cost us, you know, 3 years ago is about a third of what it cost us now.
Yeah.
And it's something that we do for a convenience of our customers, and try and help make sure we continue to bring in business, because it is tough to park downtown. And it is tough for locals to come downtown. And you know, things like CMA Fest that used to be all over the city with different stages everywhere, you know, the people would come in and they'd go to all the local restaurants. Well, when they decided to jam it all into Nissan Stadium, you know, everybody stays over there. They either go to Broadway or go to Nissan Stadium, but they're not going around the rest of the city most of the time. And it actually hurts us because the locals don't want to come downtown because they're afraid it's going to be a madhouse. And, you know, even though where we are is not, but you know, and then the tourists don't come to you because they put them all in a stadium and they're feeding them hot dogs and burgers, you know?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, we've heard that from other businesses too, right? For CMAs, for that exact reason that you just said.
Yep.
Is there any kind, and I'm sure you've done this, but is there any kind of appeal process through the city that people can
Sure,
try?
you can appeal your property taxes, and we do every time they do a new assessment or they increase the rate. But it's a long process. They're backed up over a year. You have to pay them in the meantime, and so you really don't get a whole lot of relief if you do. Win your appeal. It's been a long time, and chances are you've had to pay somebody to help you appeal it, and they're going to get a percentage of whatever you get back or whatever you save.
Who is looking at the appeals? Like, do you think it's fair and just?
I don't know. I mean, I've had during the appeals process, I've had certain properties where my attorneys that are appealing have said, "Hey, we think this is a reasonable rate. We're not going to appeal this one." But certainly with others, they've said, "Absolutely, that's not reasonable. We're gonna, we totally want to appeal that." And so we've done that.
In 2027, there's some voting that comes up. I think you had mentioned this, where isn't it going to reduce some members of the council or something from like 40 to 20 something?
Yes, I think we're supposed to reduce the council down to 20 members. It was a state law that passed, and it got appealed. Of course, they fought it, and then I think we won the appeal, and so that is supposed to be reduced in 2027, which will be a big step. But you still got to get the right council members in.
Yep.
Our council is bigger. Our council, I think, is the third largest in the country, behind New York and Chicago. Even Miami has a 12-person council. And, we've got 40, 42, 43, something like that. It's ridiculous. And it's hard to get anything done. And, you just can't govern like that. And I'm not happy with, and I don't hate Freddie. We're friends, and we used to serve on the Gulch Business Improvement District together. But I don't like the job he's doing. I don't like his policies. I don't like his transit plan, which made transit worse.
Yeah.
Didn't make it any better. It took
Right.
perfectly good streets and it jammed bike lanes into them that nobody uses. And, it's made traffic worse, especially around the area where we are.
Yeah, if you ever get stuck behind a bus or in the lane a bus is in this city, it just stops the lane up completely.
Yes.
Like, I've been to other countries in Europe, and the buses are great. We take the buses. When they pull over to pick people up or drop people off, there's a little side thing they pull off. They don't block anything. Traffic just keeps going. That's and I know what you're talking about is, hey, we're going to do speed bumps, and we're going to do sidewalks, and we're going to do bike
You
lanes.
can't drive down a street in this town without hitting a speed hump.
Nope.
My God.
Yeah, there's a space when I get off. There's a stretch. I think it's a quarter mile. There are 10 when I go home from work. There are 10 between where I get off and the stop sign, and it's like a quarter mile. It's ridiculous. Through a neighborhood. I like when those little pylons they put in, and they're starting to get. You can see it now. They're starting to get run over.
Oh yeah.
UPS
And like half of drivers just run right over them. You know how much those are but they're between 150 and 250 to replace each one of those.
Wow.
I wonder how active they are replacing them. When I see them, it looks like a war zone. Like they're just laid everywhere.
Well, now what they've done, because they keep getting run over, is now they've gone back and put little rubber curbs in between them.
Wow.
So as if we didn't spend enough money on the stupid ass pylons in the first place, now we're spending even more money because they've been running them over as fast as they can put them up.
Yeah. It's ridiculous.
I'm sure sometimes people come in and they hear about what's going on. Is there anything like a podcast like this? You've gotten a lot of media attention, but is there anything the public can do to help your cause and to bring more attention to this?
Well, look, call your council person, call the mayor's office, email them, harass them. Don't get ugly and physical. Don't do anything,
Right.
violent. But make your voice heard, and then go support your local businesses. Small business owners, like you said, are struggling. It's a tough time. Is a lot of competition out there. There's getting more and more, and they're from a lot bigger groups and who have a lot more money and a lot more staying power. And so, if you see a local business and you talk about going to local, actually go. Don't just talk about it. Actually
Hmm.
go and
Right.
eat with them. And I'm gonna be all right. We do we do well enough to where it, it's not gonna put me out of business. At least right now, it's not. But it is gonna put it. It already has put a lot of people out of business, which I warned against 5 years ago,
Yep.
and it's gonna put a lot more people out of business. And that's just the bottom line. There's no way around it. And so that's why I'm so vocal about it because you know I have the ability to speak up, and I got a loud voice, and I'm always going to tell you my opinion. But some of these people, they're just struggling because they're struggling to get by, and they don't want to do anything that might make that struggle even harder for them. And they're afraid of saying the wrong thing. They're afraid of pissing off the wrong official. They're afraid of it all, and they shouldn't feel like that in their own city, and they shouldn't feel like that when they've worked hard to build up a business and serve the community. They should get more respect from the city, and they should get more help from the city. And it just, it's the backbone. And when you see somebody like Starbucks getting $30 million to come and bring 2,000 jobs, you think about how many jobs uh, are created by the restaurateurs, the local restaurateurs in this town. If you took me and my barbecue peers, between all of us in this town, we probably already provide 2,000 jobs. When you add us all together, with my peers have a lot more restaurants than I do, but between all of us, we probably provide 2,000 jobs. How do you think we would like to get $30 million and split it between five of us? I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, it, and I saw a great speech the other night from a guy in another state, another county, but they were about to do a data center, and they were giving all the tax incentives and they were giving all the benefits. And his point was, if you're going to give these benefits and these tax incentives, then you need to have these companies put up a bond. You need to have a clawback. And I'm not saying, get rid of all incentives, but I'm going to tell you, Nashville's a pretty damn attractive place to come to as a business, whether you get an incentive or not. If you're a big company, Nashville's pretty damn welcoming, and the laws here are very welcoming. And why would you not want to be here? And there's a lot to do. There's a lot of great food. So, do we really have to spend that money for them to come, or were they just coming anyway?
Right.
Right.
And if you spread that same 30 million over your small business community, it would change lives, and we would have a much more vibrant small business community.
Oh, it would lend itself to people opening other businesses. Maybe some of those people go and take some of that money, and open another business.
100%. 100%.
You mentioned earlier about when you opened Peg Leg in 2013 and the Gulch wasn't what it is today. And obviously, you take a lot of pride in that. Could you ever foresee if your property taxes keep going up that you would consider moving somewhere else?
Sure. Absolutely. I mean, there's a breaking point for everybody,
Yep.
and you already see, like I said, my peers have multiple locations. They're moving out to the suburbs. So they're going outside the city, and going outside the county to other counties where they're more business friendly, where their taxes are lower, and where people are begging for great food. So, there's everybody loves to think that it's peaches and roses owning a restaurant downtown. Not always the case. And we've been fortunate. We've been very blessed that we've had a vibrant, like you said, local and tourist community that frequent our restaurant. But that doesn't make it any easier to make money in this environment. It's still very difficult. And when you feel like your city is fighting you, um, then it's really disheartening.
If you were to sell your building and you make that $5 million or whatever the city says it's worth, you would
Right.
still pay a penalty, not a penalty, but you would still pay a high tax when you sold it too, right?
Well, sure, I've still got
Yeah.
capital gains tax that I'd have to pay unless I did a 1031 exchange into another building. And, you're paying, like I said, you're paying taxes every year. So if I'm paying $70,000, $77,000 a year, then, in 10, 20 years, when I finally do sell my building, depending on what the market looks like at the time, it may be worth $3 million then. And
Mhm.
then the city has just milked not only all my profit, if I even had any, they've taken more than that.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a fair tax the way that they're calculated.
It's not. And if you were to sell it, now or even before you wanted to get out of it, it's like, where the hell would I go? And that's the same with
Yeah.
homeowners around here. It's like, oh, you can make a bunch of money on your house. Well, shit, where am I going?
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, and well, the other thing too is we do a podcast and we talk a lot about breweries and craft beer a lot. And I don't know how much you're into craft beer necessarily. We know you're on the whiskey, but you got Marble Fox, which is right around the corner from you, one of your neighbors, and they're relocating not because of your situation, property taxes necessarily, but because of development. We know that Barrique closed not long ago because of eminent domain. I mean, we're seeing those other factors too, and so we've been following this kind of thing for a while, and it really, again, kind of go back to the whole thing. We just see it, and it's a really big concern.
Oh, it is. Absolutely. It just, when taxes go up, rents go up, everything goes up, and it just
And
makes
for
it
you,
harder.
and you probably, as a business owner, you probably only want to pass along so much cost to the consumer, right? I mean, there's got to be a line there too, where maybe you probably absorb some, and then even with the
Oh,
cost of goods going up, and
yeah, 100%. Consumers will only take so much.
yeah, because then they just won't come at all. You're like, what?
Yeah.
$18 for a hamburger? Shit, no.
Yeah.
but it's got to go somewhere.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
We see it in the price of beer. Again, breweries
Sure.
and tap rooms and stuff we go to. It's like shit. I mean, we're going to continue to drink it to a point, maybe. I don't know what that
Yeah, it
point
used
is,
to be
but we're going
$4 a pint, now it's a $3 or $4 a pint, and now it's, 8, 7, 8, 10,
Yeah,
just depending
and
on
that's
what
at the
you're drinking.
yep, that's at the brewery. If you go downtown or in Bridgestone Arena or Nissan, God, it's $15 for a Miller Lite, and
Oh,
that's
yeah.
not an exaggeration.
Oh, no, it's not. My wife and I went to a concert not too long ago, and I mean, our first round of drinks was $85.
Wow.
You're
Yeah.
like, did that include parking? No,
No, didn't include
it
parking.
does not include
No.
parking. Would you want to change gears a little bit and talk about some peg leg and some food and some stuff?
Sure, absolutely.
All right, so I was at recently. I was at, and I'd been before, but I stopped over. I was telling you earlier, Bringle's Oasis.
Yep.
Bringle Smoking Oasis on the west side, and you've got Peg Leg Porker. You mentioned, what are the difference between those two places? Now you got different food items in both, and they're different parts of town, but the
Absolutely.
setups are different.
Yeah, Peg Leg is a straight West Tennessee barbecue place. It's real Tennessee barbecue. Which when I was growing up, that was pork and chicken. That's it. No beef, and nobody was serving brisket. It was an anomaly. It was something Texans ate, and if you wanted, you'd probably go to Texas, and that was kind of the thing. It was my whole family's from West Tennessee, from Memphis and from
Yep.
Covington. And so certainly pork barbecue was king, and there was no debating that. But the consumers now, they love brisket and Texas barbecue, and it's good. It's great stuff. And so we decided with Peg Leg we would just stick with our pork and chicken, and that's what we always intended to do. Dry ribs, we don't serve a wet rib, and we stuck with our guns, make it pretty simple, make it a pretty straightforward menu, and that's it. And we didn't want to try and be everything to everybody. We just wanted to be what we were. And with Bringle Smoking Oasis, I was offered that property. I wasn't going to open another restaurant. My buddy Shane kept telling me I need to serve beef ribs because nobody in town was serving a beef rib. And so I decided that we would do a Texas-style place over there. It's a unique lot. You've been over there. It's a great area, really fun outdoors, and great place to watch games.
It's amazing.
World Cup right now, and then
Yeah.
but inside it's a cafeteria-style line. You walk through, you get all your sides, and then we slice the meats right there in front of you on the board, and it's all by the pound. And
I had
brisket's
pastrami.
getting expensive right now. I mean, it's
Yeah.
not cheap.
Ever seen a slab of pastrami like you guys had over there? Like not a pastrami sandwich, but almost like you would cut a brisket up. It was like a slice of it. It was fantastic. I'd never seen that before.
We call that the sleeper hold. People think, oh, I don't know about pastrami because they may not be a corned beef fan. I'm not a big corned beef fan, but I'll tell you what, that smoked pastrami is. Smoke anything in town. It's great.
It was
It really
awesome.
is
Somebody
good product.
somebody got in front of me and I go, well, shit, I'm getting that.
Yeah.
Yeah, we talked. I
good.
mean, we talked about how much things cost earlier, and I would have to think as a business owner, restaurant owner, that has to be one of your biggest struggles, where everything is going up and the cost of everything is going up, and you go, we don't want to raise prices that much because people are going to run away. They're going to go elsewhere. How do
Yeah.
you balance that out?
It's tough because you want to try and have something affordable for the consumer, but it's not always possible with what they want to eat. It's everybody wants a filet. They just don't want to pay the price for it. And if you can offer them a good alternative or something, then that's great. But we try and keep it reasonable over at the Smoking Oasis and at Peg Leg, but we have to be realistic about our costs. And costs have gone up.
Yeah.
We used to
when
have
I
a
was there,
$10 lunch special, and we tried to keep it for years, and it just, it just became almost impossible.
and the other thing too, and I saw this when I was there a couple of weeks ago at Smoking Oasis. Families are there, and I'm sure they're at both places too. But I saw, I was out there and I was sitting out there and I was eating, and kids and the families are there. So that's a conscious thing too. You're like, hey, families want to come up. They got to be able to afford to feed 4 people, at least.
Oh yeah, no, we wanted to make it family friendly and animal friendly, and in fact, we're just now introducing some new family meals that people can come and pick up. Because they're running around on weekdays, taking the kids to practice, to ball games, everything, and they don't always have time to sit down, but they don't want to get fast food. And so we're offering some family meals over there that are affordable, like a whole chicken and 2 pints of sides and some bread that you can come and pick up for, $40 that will feed a family of 4. And now you've fed them for a reasonable cost, but they've had something that's wholesome and good and not some junk food that you're driving around picking up in the car from a fast food place. And
Yep.
so, those are the ways that we're trying to serve our neighbors over in the nations and, be an integrated part of the neighborhood. When we became, when we opened up as family and dog friendly, I think it really was a big blessing. The neighborhood really embraced it because they're like, man, now I can walk down the street with my kid. I can have some beers. I don't have to worry about driving. I can bring my animals, so I'm not having to leave it at home. They're all fenced in, and they're having a good time, and it's a good atmosphere. And so it's been great, and we've been embraced by the neighborhood, which we appreciate, and we try and serve them every way we can.
And it looked to me like it did like the housing there. We were just talking about that earlier. Housing, there's some huge developments being built literally directly behind you, which I assume you get a lot of walk up traffic and people being there. So that's got to be beneficial, hopefully.
Yeah, 350 new apartments.
Hell yeah. I bet they like barbecue.
Like that. Yeah.
Carey, on your website, I mean, we could talk about them for an hour, but there's so many accolades that you have of what you've won, what you've competed in, but you've been competing in barbecue competitions for over 20 years. I think I looked, it was like maybe 27 years. Is that right? Something like that?
33.
33. Okay, it's 33, even longer.
Right.
Wow. I mean,
I was
uh,
never out there competing a lot on the circuit. It was mainly just the World Championship down in Memphis,
sure.
which I cooked for the last 33 years.
Yeah.
Up until this last year, I skipped it. I was just needed a break, and
Yeah.
and so
I get it.
um, I've met a lot of great people, and it's been a lot of great years, and a fun time. We've been lucky to win some awards over the years, and right now, what's really winning is our bourbon,
Hmm.
and we actually just got in the global whiskey awards. I think there's an article today in the Whiskey Wash where we took top honors with the highest score of the entire competition at a 97 in
Nice.
the bourbon category.
Nice.
And so we won a platinum, and we took overall leader in that competition with our 12-year-old expression. Our 8-year-old Tennessee straight bourbon is a finalist for best in class at San Francisco World Spirits. It won a double gold and a platinum this year. And then at the Ascot Awards, our Full Proof took a double platinum, and so we've probably won another 14, 15 awards this year, which has been great. And but our latest release, this is our limited edition. This is our Spirit of America,
Oh, nice.
and
Yeah.
so we came out with a new bottled and bond 100 proof this year for America's 250. But we actually own the trademark Spirit of America. And so we won't just stop at 250. Like a lot of distilleries are putting out a bottle for 250 and they'll stop, and next year they won't do anything. The Spirit of America doesn't die just because you have
Right.
a birthday. And so
Right.
um, we really feel like the story behind this bourbon is that I feel kind of like I've lived the American dream. And, I was able to overcome cancer at 17, summer before my senior year, and move on and have a career, marry my high school sweetheart, have 3 beautiful children, and then start a career that I loved with barbecue, and then start another career I loved with bourbon. And we've been able to win some of the top awards. In 2023, our white label won World's Best Bourbon by the Tasting Alliance, who is the biggest and baddest competition out there. And so that's quite an honor. And so that's what this bottle's about. It's about living. Everybody's got some stories like that in their life, whether it's them or whether it's a relative. But
Yep.
everybody has something that to them embodies the spirit of America.
Yeah.
And that's what this bottle is about. It's not just about slapping a 250 label on it. It's about what makes the spirit of America great. And that's what we feel about it.
And I've
I love
seen like some videos, Instagram. You've taken your show on the road with that too. You've been traveling around with it, right?
Yeah, I just did a tasting up in Columbus, Ohio last week. Um, at the end of last year, we were in 15 states total. We've now signed up 26 states, and we'll probably be in about 36 states before the end of the year.
So, is there a on your website? Is there where if people are interested in getting this? How can
Yeah,
they go about finding it?
well, they can try and find it in their local liquor store, depending on
Hmm.
what state. We have the states listed on our website. You can also buy it on our website if your state will allow it to be shipped in. And so, if you want, you can, put a quick search of Peg Leg Porker Tennessee Straight Bourbon. You should be able to find it. Or searching for the Spirit of America, you should be able to find it.
I learned something, and this was just a week ago. You've got a tasting and bottling facility I did not know existed
Yeah.
until a week ago. Can you
Yeah.
talk about that
And
real
they
quick?
can
I know
go get it in our tasting room. We're open
okay.
Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. And it's over on Eugenia. It's on right off of Thompson Lane at 2700 Eugenia, right to the left of Southeastern Salvage.
Yeah. Okay.
And it's a nice tasting room, and Kevin's in there running it. He does an amazing job as a host and doing tastings, and then can take you on a tour and show you the bottling line and the blending
Oh, that'd be
facility.
awesome.
But that's where we make the magic happen.
Do you try to keep as much of the different types of bourbon that you have there? Are they all there?
Oh yeah, we got bottles there that we don't have anywhere else.
Oh, hell yeah. Okay.
So you can go get some limited edition bottles there that we do not sell in retail.
Okay. And can you do like flights or small pours and that kind of thing? Obviously
Yeah,
tasting.
we do 2 different flights that you can try.
Okay. All right. That is on the thing. I
Yeah.
swear I wish I'd have been there if I knew about it more than a week ago. I swear.
yeah,
Somebody told me,
absolutely.
I go, holy shit.
Yeah.
We got to wind down because we got to let you go in a couple of minutes, but I got a couple quick funny things I want to run by you real quick just to kind of end, and Steve can end with something just so,
Sure.
just to be something, just something funny. And I didn't know this existed. Pineapple on barbecue. Do people do that?
Pineapple on barbecue? I'm sure they do, probably in Hawaii.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know where you
know,
saw that from.
I don't typically do it, but
I wouldn't
I've
do it.
seen a lot of new stuff, and there's a lot of new school barbecue cooks out there that are doing some really interesting stuff
Yeah.
and really some very cool stuff. So, my old friend Mike Mills used to say, if you didn't invent fire, you didn't invent barbecue. So you're not the definitive authority on it. Everybody has their own different, way of doing things.
That's fair. That's fair. All right. And I got one last thing, and it's a quick little story. We had left Highwire one day with a group of us, and we walked over to Peg Leg, just right around
Yep.
the corner right
Yeah.
there. And we had a family with us, some buddies of ours, and they had their little baby with them.
Uh-oh.
And the little baby was in the stroller, and Steve proceeded to spill a beer on a baby.
Yeah.
In your building.
Seen it happen multiple times.
Actually,
My
I didn't
buddy's
mean
game
to. I didn't mean to.
at a child's birthday party. I saw somebody who had had too much, and the mother looked at him, and the baby was on the floor in between them, and she looked him at the dad in the eye and said, "Please don't spill beer on my baby."
Hey, in my case, I wasn't drinking too much that day. It just
Yeah.
happened to be the baby was sitting next to me. I had a beer, and you know how babies are; their arms are going everywhere, and I
Yeah.
boom.
Yeah.
But I should have had it. I should have had the beer not within reach.
That beer happens. It's spilling on a baby happens.
It's
The best thing for babies at the Peg Leg is rib bones are an amazing teether for children.
oh,
If they're cutting teeth, give them a rib bone.
probably with the marrow and just the flavors and all
Yeah,
sorts of stuff.
You'll make them a barbecue fan for life.
That's awesome. Well, Steve, you got anything else for Carey? I know we got to let him go.
Yeah, we got to let him go. But Carey, hopefully we'll have you back on again. Maybe we can go do a taste testing with you sometime. And that would be a really fun episode. And we'll have to certainly follow everything that's going on with your property tax situation there at Peg Leg Porker and all your other businesses you got going on there.
It sounds great. I'd love to. And I appreciate you guys having me on today. Scott and Steve, thank you. And y'all have a great weekend. And we're doing with Spirit of America on July 4th at 7:06. We're asking all of our fans to raise a glass and have a toast with some Spirit of America bourbon.
Brilliant.
love it.
Brilliant. Getting over to your tasting room is on my short list of things to do. So I'll be there very,
Definitely.
very soon.
Y'all have a
Carey.
great one.
Thank you,
too. Can't-
Carey.
Can't thank you enough, man. Cheers.
Cheers to you.